It's a good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end. And so that was that was by design for us to get back to our normal way.
They explained that it was about experience. They explained it was about defensive liabilities. They informed us that the Olympic platform was not appropriate for a rookie, no matter how famous she was. However, as we turn to the 2025 lineup, the tone has completely shifted. The coaching staff's uncompromising position, which previously appeared unbreakable, is beginning to shatter under the weight of reality. We are witnessing one of the most dramatic reversals in modern sports. Head coach Cheryl Reeve and the USA Selection Committee took a chance in the summer of 2024. They bet that Team USA's brand could endure without the Caitlin Clark sensation. They bet that winning the gold medal would quiet the naysayers. They were wrong. They won the gold, but they lost the story. And now, reports and tone shifts indicate that the hierarchy is finally admitting what the rest of the world has known for months. Leaving Caitlin Clark at home was a huge mistake. It is no longer only about a roster slot. It is about ensuring the sport's continued popularity. The hubris of the old guard has crashed head-on with the financial and cultural force that is Caitlin Clark. Today we'll get into the admission, the aftermath, and the desperate attempt to repair the damage before the 2025 cycle kicks into high speed. The coach apparently altered her mind. However, you have to ask whether it is too little, too late. To appreciate the gravity of this reversal, we must return to the moment when the internet shattered. When the Paris roster was released, the absence of Caitlin Clark was more than just a sports story. It was a cultural flashpoint. The committee, guided by Coach Reeve's viewpoint, concealed behind the imprecise metric of experience. They contended that the international game is more physical and tactical, and that a 22-year-old, despite of her collegiate achievements, was not prepared to replace a 10-year veteran. But let us be honest about what actually transpired. It was never only about basketball skills. When you look at Team USA's history, especially on the men's side, you'll notice that they routinely bring in young, exciting phenoms to learn from the best. They added Christian Lettner to the Dream Team. They signed Anthony Davis before he became an NBA superstar. The experience argument falls apart when you consider that the Olympics are also a marketing platform for the sport's future. They weren't only prioritizing veterans when they left Clark off. They consciously chose to lessen the spotlight. Insiders have long suspected that this was a chemistry choice. In professional athletics, chemistry is frequently used as a nice code word for ego management. Team USA's locker room is full of legends. Diana Taurasi and Breanna Stewart are two notable players. There was genuine concern among the coaching staff that bringing in Clark, who commands an army of cameras and reporters wherever she goes, might upset the environment. They did not want the veterans to feel like extras in the Caitlin Clark presentation. So, to preserve the feelings of the establishment, they sacrificed fan participation. It was a decision based on the past, disregarding the reality of the present. They treated Clark as if she were just another rookie, failing to see her as an economic engine unlike anything seen in women's basketball before. They expected the ruckus to settle down once the game began. They assumed the supporters would move on, but that was the first major blunder in a string of mistakes that has led to this difficult 2025 shift. Leading up to the Olympics and the Wnba season, the establishment's narrative was obvious. Caitlin Clark was bound to struggle. Diana Taurasi's infamous reality is coming statement is the most well-known example of this. That was a warning shot. The old guard told the new guy, "You might have scored on college girls, but you can't score on us." This mindset seemed to permeate Team USA's decision-making process. If the coaches thought Clark was going to be crushed by professionals, it made sense to leave her off the team. You do not carry any liability to Paris. But then the season happened, and this is where the coach's error became clear. Clark did not simply survive. She thrived. Was it rocky at first? Sure. She turned the ball over. She was physically beaten by defenders who appeared to take great joy in welcoming her to the league. However, she adapted at a rate that worried the rest of the league. Clark was already regarded as one of the world's top point guards by the time the Olympics began. By the end of the season, she had broken decades-old assist records. She was doing triple-doubles. She was shooting from the logos. Taurasi's pledge became a reality. However, it was a reality check for the veterans, not Clark. This performance on the court undermined the entire basis for the snub. The committee could no longer claim she wasn't ready. The footage demonstrated that she outperformed half of the squad sent to Paris. Every 20-point, 10-assist night for Clark was a clear indictment of Coach Reeves' decision-making. The fans noticed it, as did the media, and ultimately the sponsors did as well. The basketball-related pretext had vanished, leaving only the terrible truth. They simply didn't want her there. We need to discuss about head coach Cheryl Reeve. She is a gaming legend, a clever tactician, and a winner. She is also noted for being prickly, defensive, and fiercely protective of the old way of doing things. Throughout the season, Reeves' frustration with the Clark Mania phenomenon was evident. During news conferences, reporters would question Reeve about the large crowds, which were clearly there to see Clark, and Reeve would pivot. She would discuss the league's overall growth or give credit to local fans, refusing to acknowledge the Indiana rookie's personal significance. It seemed like a silent protest. It appeared that she was angry that a player she did not consider to be the greatest of all time was receiving GOAT-level adulation. This personal bias seems to flow into the USA selection. Reeve appreciates defense and grit. Clark is an offensive point guard who plays with a high-risk, high-reward approach. On paper, it's a stylistic clash, but a successful coach tailors their system to the finest players available. A great coach, like Clark, figures out how to use a weapon. Reeve decided not to. She decided to stick to her guns, effectively saying, "My system is more important than your talent." However, new reports imply that the ice is thawing. Why? You can only deny excellence for so long until you appear dumb. As the roster discussions for 2025 begin, Reed has had to face the music. Yes, her team won gold, but the Olympic Games received only a fraction of the ratings that could have been achieved. Meanwhile, WNBA games starring Clark outperformed NBA playoff games. The coach realizes that by removing Clark, she has not humbled the rookie. She alienated her audience. The agenda must alter because the business of basketball requires it. Let's chase the money. Since in professional sports, money is the only thing that matters more than winning. Team USA is supported by sponsors, most notably Nike. Nike recently signed Caitlin Clark to a big signature shoe contract. Do you think Nike executives were pleased that their significant investment was lounging on the couch throughout the Olympics? Absolutely not. Behind the scenes, there were whispers of heated phone calls. Nike hopes to sell jerseys. They want to sell shoes. They want viral moments. A Team USA without Clark is a prestigious product, but not a viral one. Team USA with Clark is a worldwide phenomenon. The difference in goods sales alone is probably in the millions. Then you have the TV partners. NBC and the other networks airing these games won viewers. The difference between a game starring Brianna Stewart and Ajor Wilson, as talented as they are, and a game including Caitlin Clark is a distinction between a niche sport and a mainstream spectacle. The WNBA season's viewership ratings proved this. Indiana Fever games were routinely smashing records, attracting millions of viewers. Team USA games fared well, but they did not disrupt the internet. This financial strain is a key reason for the unexpected change of heart on the 2025 roster. The United States Basketball Association is a business. They rely on buzz to sell tickets to exhibition tours and upcoming competitions. They are browsing over the spreadsheets and realize they toss away a winning lottery ticket in 2024. They cannot afford to repeat it in 2025. The error wasn't purely tactical. It was financial. When money runs out, the coach is compelled to reconsider her decision. The 2025-5 roster is about more than just Clark. It's about removing the barriers that kept her out. The 2024 team was based on Diana Taurasi's final dance. It was a legacy roster, but that history has been preserved. Taurasi has 6 gold medals. There is no reason for her to be on the 2025-5 team. The gatekeeper is leaving the gate open. This natural attrition alleviates a significant headache for Coach Reeve in 2024. Cutting a legend to make place for a rookie would have resulted in a locker room revolution. In 2025, the legendary will retire. This provides a perfect excuse for the coaching staff to shift their focus to the future. Clark's inclusion can be framed as a logical evolution, rather than an admission of guilt. But we know the truth. We know that if Clark had not performed as well as she did, they might have tried to keep the veterans around for longer. Clark pressed their hand, accelerating the old guard retirement timeframe by making them appear slow. The pace with which the Fever played and the range from which Clark shot made the usual Team USA half-court offense appear dated. Rumors suggest that the 2025 roster will be built around Clark and Adja Wilson. This represents a tremendous shift. It is an acceptance that the torch must be passed, even if the veterans are unwilling to let go. The clique that allegedly froze Clark out is fading. The Mean Girls era of Team USA is coming to an end because they are unable to keep up with the current era. So, how does this admittance look like? There's rarely a news statement that says, "I was wrong." Admissions to high-level coaching take the shape of tonal adjustments and roster invites. The USA Basketball Administration has recently used language like developing roster, looking at the future generation, and specifically praising Clark's tenacity. Coach Reeve has been noted as noting the mobility of the player pool for the 2018 World Cup cycle. The defensiveness is gone. The stern that we chose as the best 12 line has been replaced, and we are excited to see who will step up for the next cycle. This is code. This is a white flag. They realize they can't proceed into 2025 without her. The Olympic omission sparked a furious response among fans. Fans were actively rooting against Team USA on some parts of the internet, something unprecedented. USA basketball cannot thrive in a world if the American public despises a squad because they believe the best player was passed over. The idea for 2025 is clear. Bring Clark in, most likely as a starter, and pretend the snub never occurred. They will try to dupe us into believing this was the plan all along. Allow her to have 1 year of professional experience before bringing her in. But we must remember the contempt. We must remember that they did not want her until they needed her. It is critical to grasp the psychology of what is now going on behind closed doors. The power dynamic in women's basketball has changed more in the last 18 months than in the previous 18 years. For decades, the power was concentrated in the selection committee, veteran coaches, and the UConn alumni network, which appeared to control the national team like a private club. If you desired a gold medal, kiss the ring. You awaited your turn. You chose the appropriate strategy. Caitlin Clark did not merely break records. She broke the system. By growing larger than the team, she demonstrated that the previous gatekeepers no longer own the keys to the kingdom. This awareness is what is causing the current instability in USA basketball. They are scrambling to restore control of a story that has gotten out of their hands. They believed they could dictate the conditions of Clark's celebrity. Instead, Clark's celebrity dictates the terms of their survival. Let's not forget about the targeting narrative that dominated the 2024 season, which USA basketball remained oddly mute about. Clark was subjected to harsh fouls, face guarding, and violent play that at times bordered on assault throughout her rookie year. The infamous hip check by Kennedy Carter was only the tip of the iceberg. At the time, the old guard and coaching establishment mostly dismissed it as a welcome addition to the league's toughness. The national team leadership offered no public defense of Clark. In reality, some of the players chosen for the Olympic team delivered the most powerful hits. This caused a schism between the fan base and the institution. Fans perceived the plot. The establishment wasn't simply rejecting her. They were attempting to break her. Now, when Coach Reeve attempts to pivot for 2025, she must bridge the significant trust divide. How can you encourage a player to join a family that has allowed her to be beaten for months without saying anything? How can you persuade Clark that she is a valuable part of the core when she was considered unworthy just a year ago? This is why rumors of an error in admittance are so serious. It's not only about basketball strategies. It's an essential diplomatic apology. If they don't admit their mistakes, Clark has every right to say no thanks. A rejection from Clark will be a PR disaster that USA basketball cannot afford. Imagine the headlines if the world's biggest star publicly declined the offer because she doesn't trust a coach. It would be the last nail in the coffin of the previous regime's credibility. Clark's mental transformation is also likely influenced by the sheer statistical abnormality he has become by the end of 2024. We're not simply talking about good numbers. We are discussing video game numbers. She topped the league in assists. She broke the rookie scoring record. She had the highest point total per game in the league, including scoring and assists. Reeve's defensive liability argument began to look silly when Clark led the league in steals and rebounded admirably for her position. According to advanced statistics, Clark was arguably the best 5 player in the world by October 2024, Leaving a top-5 player off a national team is hardly a coaching decision. It is malpractice. Reeve understands this. She sees the data, and as a coach who values preparation, she realizes she can no longer defend it. Furthermore, the Caitlin effect has exposed the flaws in the WNBA traditional marketing approach, which USA Basketball relies on. For years, the league promoted both the game and the cause. Clark demonstrated that fans care about stars. They worry about plots. They care about rivalries. The 2024 Olympic run lacked all of that. It was clinical, efficient, and dull. The veterans received a participation trophy. The organizers of the 2025 FIA America Cup and succeeding World Cup cycle understand the importance of drama. They